The Attorney General of Venezuela, Tarek William Saab, announced on Wednesday new evidence of a conspiracy of assassination against the Venezuelan state. In Palestine, the Israeli genocidal operation in Gaza continues, depriving Palestinians of the holy month of Ramadan celebrations. And Russian President Vladimir Putin sent a strong message to the United States against the possibility of U.S. troops being sent to Ukraine. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR Studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. The Attorney General of Venezuela, Tarek William Saab, announced on Wednesday new evidence of a conspiracy of assassination against the Venezuelan state. The Venezuelan Attorney General informed that 2 suspects detained for conspiracy in the city of Maturin will be presented before the number 4 court against terrorism. Likewise, Tarek William Saab also detailed that the coup attempts carried out in different states of the country obeyed the same line of command. In this way, he called to maintain peace, stability and tranquility, and indicated that everything is in full permanent intelligence work 24 hours, and added that any threat made against the President of the Republic or any other high official should be taken very seriously.
There is evidence of a new conspiracy. I would say that the word when we said in January, calling the plot as a continuing conspiracy, we were not wrong. Since step by step, if we go to 2018 with the assassination attempt with drones, the coup attempt in April 2019, the attempted mercenary incursion known as Operation Gideon in 2020, but brutally from May 2023 to today. It is impressive how all this has been taking place from different parts of the country, and undoubtedly obey the same line of command.
During his speech, the Attorney General of Venezuela, Tarek William Saab, affirmed that these criminal acts attempted to simultaneously carry out their attempts against President Nicolás Maduro.
At any moment, as we are observing, they attempt to simultaneously carry out covert or open threats against the President of the Republic and high authorities of the state, and at the same time assault military barracks.
In this context, the Attorney General mentioned the attempt by 2 members of the military in the city of Maturin to hijack a military vehicle and carry out a coup.
The plan consisted in recruiting 50 military personnel to take a tank and the weapons part of a military compound to carry out an insane coup d'etat attempt. I repeat, as I said at the beginning, one after another events and similar actions to this are repeated, where nobody can be incredulous and think that they are isolated facts. No, they correspond independently of the years and months, the city of origin to the same plan.
In Panama, social, rural, indigenous and trade union movements once again took to the streets on Tuesday to protest against mining activity and the persecution of trade union leaders. Called by the United for Life Alliance, the organizations resumed their mobilizations, gathering in front of the Presidency of the Republic to demand the definitive closure of the Minera Panamá mining company. The organizers delivered a new letter to the President Laurentino Cortizo, in which they demanded that he enforce the decision of the Supreme Court of Justice issued in November 2023, which stated the contract with the company was unconstitutional. They also rejected violent acts and threats that some union organizations and their leaders have suffered. In Colombia, Claudia Aguilera, widow of Paraguayan prosecutor Marcelo Pesci, who was assassinated in May 2022, was asked for international support, given the possibility that the crime will go unpunished. After declarations offered by the prosecutor of Paraguay, Emiliano Rolón, Pesci's widow issued a statement where she expressed her concern and dismay at the public recognition of the almost non-existent probabilities of clarifying the crime in Paraguay, with the remaining mystery of who the intellectual author of the crime were. The Attorney General of the South American nation assured that nobody would be able to solve the case. Paraguay and prosecutor Marcelo Pesci was distinguished by his involvement in the investigation of numerous high-profile criminal cases and was assassinated in 2022 while on his honeymoon in Colombia. On Wednesday, Haitian and social movements must complete the procedures for the installation of a provisional governing council in the country in compliance with an indication of CARICOM bloc. The measure was adopted at a high-level meeting convened in Jamaica by the Caribbean state community. In this sense, although the State Department in Haiti affirmed that the instance will be ready on Thursday, it is worth noting that the armed bands reject any foreign intervention and demand immunity, while the political parties and different platforms have disagreements that seem irreconcilable. The 7 principal members of the Council will be designated by the January 30th Collective, the Montana Agreement, the December 21st Agreement, and 5 other organizations, which also include the Business Center. In this context, the government of Brazil welcomed the creation of a transitional presidential council in Haiti to lead the country until elections are held. The communiqué from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Brazil reaffirms the importance of adopting, as soon as possible, the necessary measures to implement the agreement, in particular the appointment of the members of the Presidential Council. The executive also congratulated the Caribbean community, CARICOM, for the intense mediation efforts made in recent weeks. The portfolio explained that at the invitation of the President of Guyana, Irfan Ali, who holds the current presidency of CARICOM, Brazil sent representatives to the high-level meeting held on Monday in Kingston, Jamaica, where the agreement was finalized. With the presence of President Miguel Díaz-Canel, key sectors of Cuba's government reviewed their performance during the year 2023. The meeting, which was also attended by the Prime Minister Manuel Marrero, evaluated the work of the Ministries of Health and Food Industry, while recognizing the efforts of both sectors, especially those of the health professionals who, despite the blockade faced by the island, have neither stopped nor retreated. They identified the deficiencies and challenges they must face, in addition to the plans and projections to consolidate the efforts. In this context, President Díaz-Canel insisted on the social responsibility of the Cuban Revolution.
Are there negative trends in the health sector? Yes, there are. And we have to identify them, and we have to fight them, and we have to face them, and we have to overcome them. And here we talked about one of them, which is an expression of corruption in the health system, which is the sale of the service. In a society like ours, that has to be fought energetically.
National Director of Primary Care, Ailush Casanova, discussed different approaches and responses.
It is to continuously invest in the training of our professionals. Primary healthcare is where we have the most of our young human resources today, and that is where we have to take a different approach, training without fatigue.
Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and more. All the stories coming up, stay with us. Welcome back. In Palestine, the genocidal operation in Gaza by the United States and Israel deprives Palestinians of the holy month of Ramadan celebrations for the 3rd day in a row. In a new day of death and injuries, the occupiers' troops are once again preventing thousands of Muslims trapped in the enclave from exercising their right to pray. To the brutal aggressions, we must add that Washington and Tel Aviv have destroyed or damaged 1,000 mosques. The continued Israeli strikes prevent Gazans from entering Al-Aqsa. The Al-Aqsa Mosque is the 3rd holiest place in the world for Muslims' faith. In the face of the desperate situation, the World Food Programme has managed to get 6 truckloads of humanitarian aid into the north of the Strip, the area worst hit by Zionism. The United Nations declared that Israel's genocide in Gaza is against children. This was stated by Philippe Lazzarini, General Coordinator of the United Nations Agency for the Palestinians. According to the expert, in only 4 months, the Zionist occupier has killed more children than in all the wars of the world combined in 4 years. Lazzarini detailed that the statistics of the Palestinian official bodies, backed by the World Health Organization and Doctors Without Borders, are chilling. Not including the children still under the rubble, Israel has killed 12,300 children. In armed conflicts between 2019 and 2022, 12,193 children lost their lives, 107 less than in Gaza. The Jordanian Foreign Ministry on Tuesday held the Israeli occupation army responsible for a military operation in the West Bank that resulted in the death of 2 Jordan citizens. In a statement, Foreign Ministry spokesman Soufiane Al-Qadan called on Benjamin Netanyahu's administration to investigate the case, to reveal the circumstances of the operation and to assume responsibility for the crimes committed. For his part, Al-Qadan warned that if his demands are not met, the Jordanian government would take all necessary diplomatic measures. On Monday, Cuba was re-elected as vice chair of the Committee on the Exercise of the Inalienable Rights of the Palestinian People. The first Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs and permanent representative of the island to the United Nations, Gerardo Peñalver, was elected for the position along with his counterparts from Indonesia, Namibia, and Nicaragua. Peñalver expressed through social networks his commitment not to back down in denouncing the crimes of Israel in Palestine and for a genuine peace progress in that region of the world. The committee is mandated to recommend a plan of actions for the independence and sovereignty of the Palestinians, as well as to promote the return to their homes and properties of those who have been and are illegally dispossessed. The government of Spain continued to send military material to Israel, even though it had announced that after the beginning of the aggression against Gaza in October 2023, it has suspended this type of exchanges with Tel Aviv. According to data from the foreign trade portfolio, during the month of November and December 2023, defense material was sent from Madrid to an armament company in Israel. This military equipment is registered under the name of bomb stabilizers, and its estimated value was around $137,000. According to the Secretary of State for Commerce, the shipment corresponds to a license authorized prior to October 7th. However, the regulation on the control of trade in defense material indicates that these licenses could be revoked if there are reasonable indications to believe that this material could be used to disrupt the peace or increase tension.
The first thing that the government of Spain has to do is to recognize the truth, recognize that the state of Israel is committing genocide against the people of Palestine. And the second thing that the government of Spain has to do, Mr. Minister, is to comply with the law, your law. You know perfectly well that the Spanish arms trade law explicitly established that any transfer of defense material must be suspended or denied where there are rational indications that human rights may be violated. And I think you will agree with me, Mr. Minister, that 30,000 dead after, 2 million displaced people after, having thousands of children who are literally dying of hunger in the Gaza Strip, we have more than enough rational indications to start buying, selling, and transporting arms to Israel.
We have a final short break coming up, but before we invite you to join our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience, you can scan the QR code on screen to join directly and share the link to reach more people. Constant news coverage of Latin America and the Caribbean, as well as the rest of the world. Stay connected and informed with teleSUR. Final short break. Don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. In Spain, the Association in Defense of the Public Health System, called Marea Blanca de Aljarfe, launched its first rally in the autonomous community of Andalusia to protest against the low budget received by the sector. The medical care system has been suffering from years due to the lack of professional and specialized workforce. This shortage has led to the collapse of the medical system. Groups have protested against the situation resulting from the reduction of the health budget. In this context, measures are being taken with a healthcare warranty plan. The socialist opposition group has denounced before the parliament how large amounts of money have been diverted to private healthcare without seeking a solution to the collapse of the public healthcare system. The Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries took note of the International Energy Agency reaffirming the significance of oil security to energy transitions. In an official statement, OPEC said to be encouraged by the IAE message and the reference to the continuing importance of oil to the world. The IEA said in its commentary, an enduring focus on oil security is a consequence of the continued need for oil to fuel cars, trucks, ships, and aircraft, as well as to produce the chemicals necessary to manufacture countless everyday items. The statement added that these messages have been strongly voiced by OPEC for many years and that the organization will continue to reiterate that energy security, energy affordability, and reducing emissions need to go hand in hand as we look to an all-energy, all-technologies, and all-people approach to energy transitions. OPEC has consistently reaffirmed its commitment to oil market stability and security of supply, including through its member holding spare capacity at their own cost in case of any unforeseen global oil supply disruptions. In Russia, President Vladimir Putin has sent a strong message to the United States and leaves no doubt about the consequences of the decision to send troops to Ukraine. They will be treated as invaders, said the head of state during an interview granted this Wednesday to a national media, while referring that this is what the U.S. troops are. He also made several remarks about an eventual nuclear war. He confirmed that his country is prepared and reminded that they have the most modern nuclear triad in the world, which is even bigger than that of the United States. He also did not rule out the possibility of carrying out a nuclear test if the United States also does so. Although he denied that Russia had thought of using tactical nuclear weapons, he stressed that they would only use them if Russia's security and sovereignty were threatened. On Wednesday, 2 Ukrainian unmanned aerial vehicles attacked the Russian city of Belgorod. Governor Vyacheslav Gladkov reported that one of the drones crashed into a residential building in the city, causing an explosion. According to the official, there were no casualties, but the windows of the several floors, the facade, and the roof of the building were damaged. The other UAV fell into the river without any major consequences. In northern Pakistan, at least 3 policemen have been killed and another injured in 2 separate attacks by armed groups. Police sources reported that the first attack took place in the city of Peshawar, where several people targeted a police vehicle, resulting in the death of 2 officers and the injury of a third. The second assault took place in the town of Dera Ismail Khan, where people on a motorbike opened fire on a policeman who was killed on the spot. The anti-terrorism department has begun investigations, and so far no arrests have been confirmed. Pakistan has witnessed an increase in terrorist activities, especially along the border with Afghanistan, over the last year. The United Nations Children's Fund reported that the world reached a historic low of under 5 mortality, describes the achievements and as good news, but acknowledges that progress is still limited. Since 2000, the estimates show that the global under 5 mortality rate has declined by more than half, from 76 per 1,000 live births to 37 per 1,000 live births. These deaths are not distributed equally around the world. In 2022, the under 5 mortality rate in low-income countries was 65 deaths per 1,000 live births, which was 13 times higher than the under 5 mortality rate in high-income countries. Children who live in countries in fragile and conflict-affected situations are especially vulnerable to mortality. Despite progress made, an estimated 4.9 million children died in 2022. The report warns that the progress has come too late for many and that there's still a long road ahead to ending preventable child death. We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many of the stories on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram and TikTok. For Telesur English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.